Welcome to South of Left Field. My name is Jimmy, and I'm sorry for the little bit of delay between my last video. I wanted to let it out. First of all, I'm going to try and do these things on Wednesdays, so I'll be trying to upload them on Wednesday evenings. That'll provide a little bit of regularity and structure. Speaking of structure, that's something that we seem to have lost a good bit of here recently with this pandemic sweeping across the nation. I find myself looking at the playing field, as it will. I love using that as a sort of a backdrop and realizing that the very best of players and the best of leaders can be found anywhere on the field. And I do mean anywhere, even across the field, across the fence left and across the fence right. There will always be those people who are really good leaders. Fortunately, the governor of the state that I live in is one such individual. I wouldn't vote for him. I didn't vote for him. I don't know that I'd vote for him again when this is over. But from here, I have to stand back and drop a lot of the heated rhetoric that sometimes flows around politics and realize that regardless of politics, we're looking at an individual who is, in truth, a leader. He's not bombastic. He's very down to earth, very direct. He seems to take advice very well, and I cannot condemn any of the decisions he's made to date. It's something like that that makes me feel good in these times. I do fall in that population that could very easily die from this disease, and it is a matter of concern. I hope everyone is well, and I do hope you're taking good precautions for your health. Abraham Lincoln made a comment that a house divided cannot stand. Our house, that is America, was very heavily divided coming into this. I'm glad to see on social media that there do seem to be some tongue-in-cheek memes, and I do appreciate humor, even macabre humor, in an effort to laugh in the face of this trial. But it's also an opportunity from people in the stands all around the field, as well as the players on the field, to perhaps set aside some of the heated debates that have been going on now for years and the divisions that have been getting deeper and harsher, and realize that for good or ill, we are all in this house together. It does not strengthen the house to try to eject portions of our population. Indeed, it is the attributes that everyone brings to the table that will often lead to the finding of leaders and the creation of solutions. There are things that I think should be considered going into where we are today. Now, there are a lot of people that I see all this stuff about socialism, democracy. Folks, what matters is not whether you are a republic, a parliamentarian system, a democracy, a communist, a socialist government, or communist or socialist economy. It does not matter what economic system is in play in your country. It does not matter what governmental system or structure exists in your country. The country and its stability is no greater than the stability of the people themselves. To those who say we should have a socialist economy or government, I say, if the people don't pay attention to it and don't put a hand to the wheel from time to time, it'll fail. The same is true of a democracy. The same is true of capitalism. The same is true of communism. It's only a structure like the house that Lincoln alluded to. The house is never so stable as when its people are able to live with one another. It doesn't mean in peace. This is not a plea for kumbaya moments. I don't even like kumbaya. But it is a plea to release some of the acrimony, let some of the tension go, and understand that it's a big house. And there's a lot of rooms and there's a lot of winding trails through the house. There's a lot of things that can be done. And we may want to fight over the color of a room. Well, I hate red. But the point is, we can disagree. Laws can be passed and laws can be repealed. Programs can be established, monitored, checks, balances, or even repealed if the program does not serve. Every decision is not an irrevocable point of no return. For those who are familiar with the concept of the diode in electrical engineering, life is not one way. You can always turn around and go back through the door you walked through. It's important that we don't nail the door shut so that it can't be moved at all. Yes, let's have our divisions. Yes, let's have our differences. But for heaven's sakes, let's don't lose sight of the fact that we're all in this house together. We're all Americans. And while there will be those who have an outsized influence on the house, who will have gathered together a particularly large following inside the house, that doesn't make them right. It just means that they're charismatic and they got a following. And it doesn't mean that anything that they have done cannot be undone if it's in the interests of the residents of the house. Several things are becoming, I hope, apparent. And if you haven't noticed any of them, I would like to offer them for consideration. Probably the most fragile part of America's society seems to be surrounded by the extreme inequality in wealth and income that we have. Now, I don't want to beat the dead horse. I've talked about this before, and you're going to hear me talk about it again, maybe even ad nauseum. But consider this. Right now, we have people on all sides of the debate, on all sides of the aisle, and people in all of the boardrooms and everything else that are coming to the realization that the clay feet of our economy, in fact, the clay feet of our society, is that we have a top-heavy economy. I know that the theory has been posited for decades now, and it circulates around, and people of the upper class, particularly those of the greatest wealth, still claim that they are the job creators. When the reality is, I don't care how much money you've got, and I don't care how wonderful the product you know how to arrange the manufacture of is. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business. Jobs are grown in economically healthy societies, and an economically healthy society is one where better wages and better standards of living stretch down toward the bottom of the pyramid, not concentrated at the top like they are here. One of the reasons that the current leadership so almost stunningly leaped so quickly to the idea of giving money directly to the American citizen is that so many American citizens just don't have anything of their own. The little they have is, well, it's the lifeblood of the economy. An economy is consumer economy by its very nature. It doesn't matter whether it's communist, socialist, or capitalist in nature. All economies are consumerism because you're talking about producing goods that others need and exchanging or using money to exchange to get goods that you need. This is economy. And the health of an economy relies on the existence of a well-paid workforce. In America today, 42% of the working population makes less than $15 an hour. Now, I know $15 an hour may be a hard spot for a lot of people. But understand, these are the most vulnerable people. If these 42% who are mostly in service positions find themselves without a job. The economy will cease. It'll almost cease to exist. That's why people who would have railed against anything like this before, now, in a moment, when we need a strong house, when we need a solid foundation, this is what we're being forced to consider. This is likely the path we're going to be forced to go just to keep the house standing. The roof may look pretty, and the top floor may be gorgeous, but it isn't a house if the bottom rots out from under it. America is made up of Americans. We need to take care of each other. The function of government is supposed to be to see to it that its citizens, not just its upper class citizens, but its citizens, have the opportunity for life, liberty, and happiness. And this entails many things. We have to be strong. We need to have decent wages. We need to have our health taken care of. We need certain assurances. To strengthen ourselves as a people, we have to strengthen ourselves as individuals. And that strength comes from support, not individuality. There's a lot of fallacy behind the idea of grabbing your bootstraps and pulling yourself up. It's a joke to me. It should be a joke to you. Anyway, thank you for listening. Stay safe. And I hope that I'll hear from you and hope that you will listen in again. Again, thank you.